Yes, it's 15 to 8. That is the number. There's a reason for our being here. Macquarie Radio all day until midday, lending their weight and authority behind this remarkable institute. That's why we're broadcasting here. We're proud of our work, but we're proud of their work. And we're here to tell you about that brilliant work, to highlight the need for continued funding. I know it's a difficult economic world out there, but this is, as I've said, simply expressed, what we're seeking here is to understand that the medical practices of today, which we enjoy, whether it's a knee replacement, a hip replacement, whether it's breast cancer, the medical practices we enjoy today are the product of yesterday's research. So the research we're doing today is going to save some little baby down the track. And that is the Institute's vision, a future without childhood disease. As I've said before, and Ray and I will be saying it until 12 o'clock, barring accidents, the leading cause of death in children under the age of 4, birth defects and genetic disease. For aged 4 to 14, the leading cause of death is cancer. And those two areas are where the Institute's efforts are focused. The Institute, as you know, is at 214 Hawkesbury Road. We've been telling you that. Nearest Cross Street, Jessie Street. You can come to that address and you'll find us in the front foyer and learn about what's happening. As I said, Ray will be here from 9 until 12. We're right next to the bus stop for the Children's Hospital at Westmead, and Westmead Railway Station is just 10 minutes away. Well, the man in charge of all of this is a wonderful, modest man, Professor Rodger Reddel. He's the Lorimer Dodds Professor, the director of this magnificent institute, and he's right here with the headphones on. Professor, good morning.
Good morning, Alan.
Congratulations. What work you do, but what a mammoth amount of work yet to be done.
Yes, there's a huge amount to be done. As you said, children are still affected far too much by conditions such as birth defects and inherited diseases. Cancer is another major cause of admissions to children's hospitals.
Sir Lorimer Dodds, you are the Lorimer Dodds Professor. Sir Lorimer Dodds was the Foundation Professor of Child Health at the University of Sydney in 1950, and it was the first, oddly enough, first time there had ever been a chair, a professorship in child health or paediatrics. This is 1950, first time ever at any medical school in Australia. So he was a pioneer, Professor Lorimer Dodds, in the development of children's medicine as a specialty. I just put to you, Professor Reddel, he died in 1981. He once said, the prize for success is beyond all measure. The health and potential happiness of a vast army of children of today and tomorrow. It's not a bad vision, is it?
It's a wonderful quote, and he was a great man. And we also owe the founding of the Institute to the people of this country, and particularly the people of New South Wales and Sydney, who realised that too many of their children were dying from childhood diseases and banded together to make sure that this institute got started.
Just tell us physically, forget all the other stuff. Now we're here, you came here when?
We came here in the early 1990s.
1990s, and what was it then?
Oh, out here?
Yeah, just here.
Not too much. But
not too much.
We started in the grounds of Children's Hospital in Camperdown.
That's right.
In a tiny little outhouse that looked like an outhouse.
Yeah.
And it's grown to the institute we have here
and
today.
So now you've got this magnificent, in around here where we are and where people will see, these are all research labs, and there are people looking through little microscopes and everything, aren't they?
Yes, all that sort of thing.
All that sort of stuff.
We've got a number of teams, and they focus on the areas of inherited diseases and genetics and treatment for that. And we do that in conjunction with Children's Hospital. We focus on cancer. We focus on neuroscience and epilepsy. In
layman's terms, I'm just finishing the physical side. So while we're comfortable here, you've basically run out of space.
We have. We are looking in the very near future to being out of space. And
you listening, Michael Baird? Listening? Here's the answer. Tony, listening? Right, go on.
And we really need to ramp up our efforts. And that means...
But you've got a lump of land here behind you, haven't you?
Yeah, we've got a 2-storey block just behind us that we want to convert into something like 7 or 8 stories.
Yep.
Because we need to bring in teams. There are unprecedented opportunities at this time.
Yep.
We really
You're close. You feel you're on the top of some breakthroughs.
We really are. We've taken many decades to build up expertise in gene research, We have that expertise. We
Yeah.
have the teams in place. We really need to ramp that up now to take hold of really unprecedented opportunities in children's research.
Now, if you said, you've got, as I understand it, am I right, development approval for this lump of land at the back here to go to how many stories?
Yeah, to 7 or 8.
7 or 8 stories. Would you occupy all of those, or would some of them be income streams?
So we will take time to fill them.
Yep.
Of course, it'll take a little while to build. We'll be recruiting during that time.
And what do you want, 60 million or something?
We need 60.
60 million?
Yeah, for the building.
That's it?
Yeah.
Well, think of the waste. That'd be just cutting back some of the government waste. We get 60 million tomorrow, wouldn't we? Cut back some of the government waste. Just in relation to children, and I'm a layman here, but in layman's language, so when a child is born, do you have the research capacity to be able to identify what disposition that baby might have towards a particular defect or disease?
So there's already testing that's being done on babies as they're born to
Yep.
test for particular diseases, and it's really important because one example is if you find out a particular defect, you can modify their diet. If you don't know that and you don't modify the diet, they'll have brain damage. So what's being done already is absolutely key. But there is now the technical capacity to look at every gene to do a complete readout of the whole genetic code of every child. Now, that's years away before that's going to be done, but the technical capacity to do that now is in existence.
Does some of this research go beyond the ethical capacity of the public to accept it? In other words, this has very significant consequences, doesn't it? If you can read out all of this genetic profile of an individual, then there may be some people, I hate to say this, would say, well, I'm not too sure that I want a baby with those sorts of defects.
It's the old story, Alan. It's what you do with technology.
Yes,
if you've got a
yes.
lump of wood, you can make a home out of it, or you
Yes.
can beat somebody over the head with it.
Yes.
So we, as a society, we've got issues to deal with
Yes.
around ethics and privacy, but
Quite.
they can be dealt with.
Right. But just supposing you had that technology, that medical technology, and mightn't Mr. and Mrs. Smith taking out life insurance policies for their children, say, well, before I'm prepared to take insurance for you, I'll need to now know, we've got access to this genetic information, I need to know whether you have a built-in disposition towards this particular disease, in which case you'll either pay an exalted premium or I won't insure you at all.
We need to have legislation that deals with that
Yes.
and prevents that sort of thing.
Yes.
And that can be done too.
What's on the horizon? Because your aim is a life child without disease. What's on the horizon? What are you close to?
We currently, and when I say we, I mean
Yeah.
the research community, we don't do the genetic readout here. The capacity to read the complete genetic code has completely outstripped our ability to understand what it all means.
I'm glad you said that.
And that's where we come in here at Children's Medical Research Institute. We have built up the expertise to understand whether a supposed change in the code in a child actually means that this is going to cause disease, or whether it's of no consequence.
Right. For example, to just take one example, you, as I understand, have discovered the genetic defect that causes a cleft palate.
That's right. That's work that was done here.
Yeah.
Now, in addition to understanding what the genetic changes mean, we're also working on treatments and possible cures for these things. So, for example, one of our teams here, in conjunction with Children's Hospital, is working on cures for inherited liver diseases. Now, these can have devastating consequences. They may require liver transplants at the moment when the baby is old enough. We're working here on developing the ability to put a normal copy of the gene that causes that disease into every cell in the liver of that baby.
And is that true also, say, of the rubella vaccination? Because, when I was a child, parents were terrified of rubella because it induced deafness in children. There was no way you could recover. You have, as I understood, pioneered and introduced rubella vaccinations, and that, of course, has prevented congenital deafness.
That's a fantastic example, Alan, of what medical research can do.
Yep.
And particularly, it's an illustration of the benefits of prevention. So instead of having to deal with deafness and other conditions that can be caused by viral infections, they can all be prevented. And we take that for granted now.
We do.
That's just part of the medical system.
And it all needs money. You're unbelievable what you people do. We love you for what you do. And look, if you've heard Professor Reddel and you're inspired by the extraordinary work they're doing, the donation phone line, 1-800-436-437, $2, $5, $10, or all you people out there with millions, 60 million to advance this cause. We're here all day to support all of that. We'll be talking more about it between now and 9, and Ray will be talking about it between 9 and 12. We'll hear Professor Reddel in Ray's program as well. So it's a very, very good cause. We just thank you enormously for what you do, because it takes a lot of personal sacrifice to be dedicated every day, because research involves its disappointments too, doesn't it?
It sure does. But thank you, Alan, for what you're doing for us.
Not at all. It's 4 to 8. We're broadcasting, as you know, from the Children's Medical Research Institute at Westmead, Macquarie Radio, lending their weight and whatever weight we have to this wonderful institute. We're here to tell you about the brilliant work they're doing and to highlight the need for continuing to fund to allow their work to continue. So you can donate wherever you are. Ray will be here after 9 on the same theme. 1-800-436-437. The Institute's vision is for a future without childhood disease. Remember, as I've been saying, barring accidents, the leading cause of death in children under the age of 4 is birth defects and genetic disease. For children aged 4 to 14, the leading cause of death is cancer. And those two areas are where the Institute's efforts are focused. We are here broadcasting today, 214 Hawkesbury Road. Get out here and you'll find Ray here after 9 o'clock. I spoke earlier to Rodger Reddel, Professor Rodger Reddel, who's the director, and Lorimer Dodds Professor. Lorimer Dodds, the first Professor of Child Health at Sydney University way back in 1950, the pioneer in the development of children's medicine. He and John Fulton established the Children's Medical Research Foundation back in 1958. But let's now put a human face to the Institute and what it does. Sitting beside me here is Dean Hutchison. His daughter Erin, who's now 8, was born at 25 and a half weeks. The normal gestation period, of course, is around 40 weeks. Erin weighed 597 grams when she was born, slightly heavier than a tub of margarine. She was given a 5% chance of survival. She did survive, and she's living proof of the brilliant work that the team do here, and her proud dad is here. Dean, how are things?
Good, thank you.
It's a good story, isn't it?
It is indeed.
Tell us about, talk into that microphone close so that everyone can hear you. Tell us about the circumstances that led her to be born so early.
Basically, Kim went into eclampsia without warning, and she was given the option basically of stay where she was, and survival moved to Westmead, where they both had a chance to survive.
How amazing. And you were told your little daughter was 600 grams. I mean, it's hard to comprehend a baby so small, isn't it?
It is. It's incredible.
And it wasn't just Erin doing it tough. Your wife was in a coma after she gave birth.
She was, yes.
What happened then?
I basically struggled to cope with the situation.
I bet.
I soaked up information basically and asked questions of everybody, all the medical staff.
Was this your first child?
No, my third, but
right.
Nothing so traumatic had happened previously.
So you started to immerse yourself in information.
I did.
And how did that lead you to Professor Reddel and the team here?
There were several references when I was asking specialists about the care that was being offered Erin and the procedures that were occurring, and their references were, this is a development of research from those guys at CMRI pointing over their shoulder. So.
Yeah, I mean, your research would have told you that these were pioneers, weren't they, here, of neonatal intensive care units?
Absolutely. And
you found your way, your wife and Erin found their way into that unit?
We did.
Now, how long did Erin spend in neonatal intensive care?
It's about 2.5 months.
And did it feel a lot longer than that to you?
About 2.5 decades.
Yes,
yeah.
You were a hopeless dad, were you?
Yes, absolutely.
And what was it like, though, watching this little angel just grow bigger and bigger?
It was encouraging every day. That's all I could say. It was encouraging.
And then she came home.
She did.
And when you look back now, because I'm asking people to donate, Ray will be doing likewise. Everybody, we're broadcasting right across the country, 1800 436 437. Looking back now, because she's 8, how much did the Institute do?
I can't overstate that.
It's the reason she's alive.
It is indeed. Without the research carried out here, Erin wouldn't be here.
We're trying to get hold of her. She's on her way to school, is she?
She is, yeah.
We may not be able to manage all of that. And your wife?
Yeah, well, she's taking her to school at the moment and she's doing okay.
Doing okay.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful story, isn't it?
It is.
What do you say to all of those people? Because we're not asking hundreds of thousands of dollars from everybody, but if someone's got $5 or $2 or $10, it all helps, doesn't it?
Oh, of course. Every single dollar will help and help advance the research that occurs here.
And what does little Erin now? Is she old enough to understand all this?
She is, yes. She's quite happy telling her story
Yes.
and to
She's
everyone
got
who will
some
listen.
pictures?
Lots of pictures. And she's got a photo album she used to carry around with her of all the photos from intensive care, etc., and tell her story to all her friends. So.
And the fact is that she's a perfectly normal child.
She's very, very healthy these days, yes.
Isn't that extraordinary? Now, I think she might be there. Is she? No, she's not. Very healthy. So everything's well in the Hutchison family.
It is indeed.
And you're one of the unsolicited ambassadors for the Institute. They're fantastic here, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Good on you. Where do you live?
Oh, just at North Parramatta.
Right. But you found your way here, and as a result, you've got a healthy wife and a healthy daughter.
Absolutely.
Good on you, Dean.
Thank you.
Good to talk. Isn't that a story, eh? That's the Institute. That's the human face of the Institute. We're trying to get hold of little Erin, and Mum is taking her to work, I think, but I don't think she's there. I've got a screen in front of me. She might come up anyway. Stay there with us, Dino. It's 6 minutes to 9.
You're listening to the Ray Hadley Morning Show, live from the Children's Medical Research Institute, Westmead. Donate now, 1800 436 437.
By the way, on the discussion we had briefly about hurricanes, cyclones and typhoons, they're all the same weather phenomenon, but they are named differently in different parts of the world. In the Atlantic and Northeast Pacific, it's a hurricane. The same type of weather disturbance in the Northwest Pacific is called a typhoon, but when you're in the South Pacific or the Indian Ocean, they're called a cyclone. So they're known in Australia simply as cyclones. 131873 is the open line number, 2gb.com. Click on the feedback icon. I think the first time I got involved with the Children's Medical Research Institute was that long ago. I had dark hair and I was doing Lowe's commercials. I'm one of the original Lowe's models. I mean, all these young blokes now, they're drinking the water from the well that myself, Stephen Roach, Paul Borton and Michael O'Connor dug. And do you think we get one word of appreciation from these young footballers earning a lot of money because of us? Not one word. I did a commercial once when we went to SeaWorld and pretended to water ski. We got dressed up as Robin Hood and his merry men. We did another famous one that got us into trouble because Paul Vorton famously said on a building site, when I nod my head, hit it. And I hit him with a hammer on the head. That was deemed to be gratuitous by some quasi-government board and the commercial got taken off air. The woman responsible for all of those ads is Linda Penn, who's one of the co-owners of Lowe's with her father, whom I'm allowed to call Hansy Baby, but everyone calls him Mr. Mueller. And Linda Penn's on the line on a serious matter right now. Hello, Linda.
Hello, Ray. You were a lot thinner then, weren't you?
Very funny. Well, you know
How
what?
are you, my old friend? You good?
I'm good. And I'm very happy to be hearing your voice. And I remember you, even though we don't see each other much anymore, I remember you with great affection.
Oh,
you
thanks.
and the team.
Likewise.
All the team. Now, the reason, on a serious note, while I've got you here, I'm almost certain the first time I got involved in a charity fundraiser was because of you and your family. Can you explain to the listener the details? What happened?
1998, Lowe's had their 100-year anniversary, and we had a ball, and the proceeds of the ball were to go to the CMRI. And on the night, we raised $350,000 in 1998, and you were amazing as our auctioneer, and you took a big part in it, and you've been a generous, benefactor to a lot of charities since then. So good on you.
This is a really personal story. can you tell my listeners why your company decided to become so involved with the Children's Medical Research Institute to celebrate 100 years?
All right. About 19 years ago, I got involved. I was pregnant and 6 months pregnant, and I was about to board a plane to print a catalogue you were in, in Melbourne. And at the airport, my waters broke, and I was only 6 months pregnant, and it was a lot of blood and a lot of drama. Taken to hospital and had a C-section. It was emergency, and with no anaesthesia. And the baby was taken away, and I was taken to the ward, and the doctor told me my baby's going to die. And they said the only way that we can save her is to perform microsurgery because she had a perforated and a malformed bowel. They took the baby away. I had to see the baby and say goodbye to her, as they didn't think that she would survive. And they performed the microsurgery on her. They took out 22 centimetres of bowel. They joined up the bowel, and then we waited. And everything behaved as it should. And that little girl has grown up to be a 19-year-old who today is doing work experience at the CMRI. And it's just a wonderful story. It's a story about genetic disorders that transcends all economic and social groups. And we're a very fortunate family and economically and socially, but this happened to us. I had 2 healthy children, and I never thought that this could happen, and it does. It can affect anybody. And now look, I think they implanted a scientific gene inside Alex, and she's doing a science degree and an engineering degree, and she's become friendly with Professor Reddel, who's the head of the CMRI, and there she is doing work experience there, and it's an amazing story. And
guess what? Guess what?
Is she there with you?
You
My
little
daughter.
devil, I thought I'd trick you. Say hello to Mum, Alex.
Hi, Mum.
Hi, Alex.
I said, you come and sit with me. And she said, I remember you. And she said, when you were much thinner as well. So she's a mother's daughter. But she remembers me from all those years ago when she was a tiny little girl. And now she's a beautiful young woman. And yes, she's doing work experience here. And I guess, Alex, if I can go to you from Mum, you're here today doing work experience in the middle of your degree down there at the University of New South Wales, and you're here a direct result of the work that these people have been doing since 1958. It's incredible.
It really is. Like, what they've done, absolutely amazing. And from when I was born, they developed the techniques for microsurgery. And like Mum said, they implanted the science gene. And so, yeah, I'm here to learn about that and to learn how they've done it and what these people do. And that's why it is so important to fund these researchers here, because without them, that microsurgery that saved me, wouldn't be here. And speaking as a scientist and at UNSW, and speaking as a scientist, I know it is so hard. It is very, very hard, and only 12% of grants, the applications that scientists put through, only 12% get approved. And that is not enough. And speaking as a scientist, I know how hard it is. And it is so hard because these people dedicate their lives to saving kids like me and to helping families like us, Mum. And
Yep.
And they just don't get the funding for it. And, everyone complains, our healthcare system, we don't have enough. Why isn't there a cure for cancers? The government isn't doing enough. Well, why aren't they doing enough? Well, because they're not putting enough funds into this. But really what they've done is absolutely incredible. And to be here and to help and to see what they do is an absolute honour for me. Professor Reddel, thank you very much for having me here. Really, it has been an absolutely amazing experience. I know Mum is very grateful.
Ray, can imagine if there was no microsurgery and Alex wouldn't be sitting next to you.
Scary.
I mean, there's a million stories like that, and we owe them her life. So
fantastic.
Can't do much. I can't say too much about them. It's just extraordinary. It's extraordinary, and I thank you for being there.
No, it's
today.
my pleasure.
And making it known to your listeners.
No,
it's
that's
terrific.
my pleasure. Now, listen,
Terrific.
just one final thing by way of levity on a very serious day. When I started doing the commercials, I weighed 92 kilos.
And how much do you...
I'm 102 now, but I look bigger on TV, Linda. So, but I'm prepared to put on 40 kilos to take over from the big man in the big man's clothing department, okay? I'm prepared to go to 140 for you.
Listen, and I tell you, I want to send regards to my father. You know, he turned 90 this year.
I love him. I love him so much.
He's amazing, and he's leading us all, and he sends regards and, wishes you all the best. So thanks, Ray. Thank you for everything you do.
And don't forget the Christmas. I still tell the story when I go and see your people at Lowe's at the Christmas party. I gave them all permission at the Christmas gathering to call Mr. Mueller Handsy Baby. And they were all terrified to do it. They did it, but he warned them this was the only time they could use that expression. They could never use it in a business sense.
And they never have.
Lovely to talk to you, Linda. Regards to the family.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. And Alex, thank you so much for sharing time with us. And I don't get to surprise your mother very often, but that was nice.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, it's nice to make her laugh.
Exactly.
But thank you very much for having me.
You're a lovely young girl, and you're a credit to your family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck with your endeavours. That's Linda Penn's daughter, Alex, in here with us. One of the recipients and one of the beneficiaries of the magnificent work of the Children's Medical Research Institute. And as her mother said so succinctly, if it wasn't for them, she wouldn't be here. It's 20 minutes away from the end. Thank you. We go from one of the fundraisers to someone equally important with a very good title, Manager Strategic Partnerships for all her other sins, Virginia Judge with a minister in a former New South Wales government. Now she's doing really good stuff.
Oh, thanks, Ray.
How are you, Virginia? Nice
look
to see
very
you
well, and look, thank you so much for your generosity coming to broadcast live. It really meant a lot to everyone, and God bless that lovely lady who just came on. We have 22 committees working very diligently to help our scientists here raise money for research, and they really do represent the heart and soul of the Children's Medical Research Institute. And did you know that over the many years, the first one set up in 1959, and these committees have been working now for 22 years. I think it's unique in the nation that an institute has this sort of structure, and their loyalty and dedication is just amazing. And over the years, they've raised over more than $22 million for our institute, which is just incredible.
Now, what you're about, I guess, is taking it to the next level. Now, we can't continue to run raffles and... well, we can, but we can't continue to be viable if we keep doing that. So the Genes for Genes initiative is a fantastic thing that everyone across Australia knows about, but we've got to get these partnerships that you're there about with large organisations, commercial organisations who are concerned about the health of Australian children, and many of them would be, in fact all of them would be, but it's getting the message to them.
Yeah, exactly. You just hit the nail on the head. And of course government as well. And I must say, and you know, I sit on a different side of politics, but I have to say a very, very big thank you to Minister Gillian Skinner. Without the $20 million that she invested, and money well spent, taxpayers' money well spent, we would not be sitting here today in this institute, and our scientists and researchers upstairs would not be able to do the work that they're doing as we speak. So I think that needs to be on the record. And I must say that as the Minister for Health and also the Minister for Medical Research, she really does get it. She does know a lot. She's, you know, very well respected right across that area. And so without, and sort of moving on from that, in terms of the federal government and state government, you know, we've never ever asked the federal government for any funding since this institute started. We've got the $20 million from the state, thanks to the state.
You better start.
So we are, and we're hoping that perhaps some of the ministers are listening, or their staff at the moment. We have lodged a budget submission. We need now to accelerate these discoveries even more and to grow our scientific base. And to do that, we need to start stage 2, which is a $60 million project. And we'd very much appreciate some support from the federal government and hopefully again from the state. And
stage 2, tell us specifically that's more about what's happening in relation to the medical experts, is it not? Yes,
well, we need to grow our scientific base from what it is currently to double that. You know, this whole space is growing rapidly. You know, we're in Australia. We're at you know, we've got some of the leading scientists, and we need to keep those scientists here. We want to keep them doing the great work that they're doing, and to do that, we need to give them the support. We need to give them state-of-the-art facilities. You know, the new technology that's out there. Our old building, when it was built, was state-of-the-art, but now, of course, it's perhaps like myself getting a bit long in the tooth. So we need to get a new building that can provide the right space and the right shape and so forth to house all this high-tech equipment that they need. I don't know whether you know that we have actually about 170 people working here at the moment.
No, I didn't.
Yes, and that's 110 full-time scientists and PhD students as well. And really, you know, as I say, this is an area where we want to keep our Aussies working. We don't want them to take off to other places. We want them to stay here as they want to and continue that work. But to do that, they need support. And the first thing is the right building, and then, of course, the research money and the support to actually fund their projects. And I really do believe that, you know, you coming out here today is pivotal, that, and Alan as well, because, you know, it's important that people understand. And really, about 50% of the Australian population will, during their lifetime, be adversely affected by a condition with a genetic basis, for example. And we're sitting here right next to the Children's Hospital. 1 in 3 admissions to Children's Hospital in Australia, Ray, are due to a genetic condition or to a genetic component to illness. I didn't know that until I came to work here myself, and I was quite staggered. And of course, globally, it's not just unique to our nation, 1 in 20 children is born with a birth defect, sadly, or a genetic disease. And really, Ray, it can happen to any child in any family.
No one's immune. You can be the wealthiest person in the country and have a genetic defect. You can be the poorest person and have the same problem. And what we need to do is make sure those children, as they have been since 1958, you know, for instance, the cancers. Children used to die from cancer, childhood cancer.
That's it.
In the vast majority of cases, they no longer die because of the research that's been done by various organisations over various years. So what we need to do is look at the other, and there are 6,000, I'm told this morning. And individually, yes, they're rare, but collectively they're not.
Exactly.
You know, it's very important.
Yes, well, these are our key areas that our scientists and researchers look at here is cancer, epilepsy, birth defects and inherited diseases. And of course, not only are we going to help and accelerate those discoveries, but it's going to mean 250 skilled permanent full-time jobs here, and that's great to make sure that we provide employment. And we expect about 900 million in economic benefits flowing through from New South Wales over the first 9 years of operation of Stage 2. So that's, you know, adding to the economy through this high level of medical research, and of course there are other opportunities down the track. So, and we're part here of this at the moment, where I think when all of us have finished our projects, this will be the biggest health and medical research hub in Australia. Now that's something to be very proud of in New South Wales, bringing together some of the best research leaders, and they're staying here and they're working to help children, not just here, not just in New South Wales, but globally. But we can't do it alone, of course, and that's why we're seeking support, not just from both levels of government, but also from the general community. And I've noticed today that some very generous people have made some lovely donations, and we're very, very grateful for that.
Well, let's make 2015 this. If we've been here since 1958 and we haven't had any federal government support, 2015 will be the year that we start getting federal government.
Good on you, Ray. That's what the message we'd love to get out.
Okay.
And yeah, fantastic. If we can get the federal government to kick the tin, it will be a first. We'd be very, very grateful. All of our scientists would be absolutely thrilled, and it will make a massive difference to not just to us, but to you know, really, as I just said, the nation, etc. So. Thank you. Yeah.
Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Oh, but thank you very much for giving me your time and for coming out here today. We hopefully you'll come back and visit us again.
Well, I actually am. You know, I get to Ronald McDonald House probably once a year to say good day, and I get invited to the Children's Hospital regularly. And my children, because I'm a resident of Western Sydney, have benefited by the expertise here.
Fantastic.
You know, when the medical centres are closed down and the baby's got a temperature, and they're not babies anymore, they're adults, young adults. that was the port of call, as it is for most people in western, northwestern Sydney, to come to this hospital, joining you where you're doing your work.
Yeah, we're very blessed. I mean, we've got amazing doctors and nurses and all the people that work in that medical space in Western Sydney. As I said, 17,000 people working out here, and perhaps when everyone is finished, there'll be about 27,000 people working right here in Westmead. It's incredible. We're very lucky.
Well done. Thanks, Virginia.
Thank you very much.
Virginia Judge, who's the Manager of Strategic Partnerships here at the Children's Medical Research Institute. 131873 is the open line number.
You're listening to the Ray Hadley Morning Show, live from the Children's Medical Research Institute, Westmead. Donate now at cmri.org.au.
Well, in terms of making people aware of the Children's Medical Research Institute and how they can help, it's been an outstanding success. Many of the discussions this morning have been about the community. 22 separate communities who have committees who help in the Sydney metro area, South Coast, Gerringong, Canberra, the Hills District. I mentioned Maroota earlier on the way at the Wiseman's Ferry, Corindai, the Pymble area, the racket or tennis club are there, Belrose on the Northern Beaches, Thumbelina, Taree. We heard from Heather at Taree. But there's a person responsible for pulling it all together. That's Jennifer Philps, who's the Community Relations Manager. She's been with the CMRI for over 20 years. Hello.
Hello, Ray.
Now, listen to that accent. I spoke.
Hello, everybody else.
I said this to everyone. I said, I've got to have this lady on the radio for that accent, if nothing else. How long have you been here?
What, the Children's Medical Research
No,
Institute?
in Australia.
Well, I left Glasgow in 1965, so I'm that old.
65, so you've been here since then. Do you think you'll stay?
I definitely going to stay.
All right, love. It's fantastic.
I went via Africa for 22 of them, though.
22?
Yeah.
I just love that accent. A mixture of everything then, South African, Australian and Scottish. You Glaswegian, you.
Yes.
Now, tell me what you do on a daily basis for the Children's Medical Research Institute, and I would appreciate it's probably a labour of love more than anything else.
It is. I've got the best job in the world. And I always said, you know, and I'll be quite honest, when I was 50, I decided that maybe I should have a wee sea change. So I left teaching and looked around, and then fortuitously, I landed at the Children's Medical Research Institute, and it's the best job.
I've just done a quick calculation.
No, don't count. It's not what I look
Let me
like.
tell you something. You don't look that old.
No, I'm not, definitely not.
You can't be how old I think you are.
No.
Listen, whatever you're drinking, I want some. Dear, oh dear. Now, I just was going through some of these areas. Gerringong, for instance. Alan spoke about speaking at Gerringong.
Yes, I was there when he was there at the quilt show, the annual quilt show, and Alan opened it, a good few years ago.
Yeah. $1.7 million.
I know.
How do they do that in a... Like, Gerringong's are tiny.
Because they're women, Ray.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
You're exactly right. And then I go to other areas. 1.2 million for the Hills is where I come from, the Hills District. A little community like Kangaroo Valley, almost $500,000. Just incredible. And as we heard from Heather and Taree, sometimes not massive amounts of people involved, small committees doing a really good job.
Oh, it's quantity, Ray, not quality. You know, I mean, well, it's quality, not quantity necessarily.
Yeah, getting it right. So 1.8 million for the Canberra area that take the program, and they've done a wonderful job, and they've been there for over 50 years. They started 2 years after the Institute started in 1960.
And they've just popped in today to give us another 5,000. So wasn't that lovely?
Well done, Canberra. Well done. Congratulations to you. So you obviously encourage and get these... What, Maroota? Now, no one knows where Maroota is. I do, because it's on the way to Wiseman's Ferry. I live out that way, and I go through Maroota. It's a tiny school with probably... I don't know, there's probably 1 or 2 teachers there. What do they do at Maroota?
Well, now, in the old days, they had the Maroota Ball. You remember the Maroota Ball, where we all had to wear long dresses? And like we had the bell and the bow of the ball?
The B&S Ball, the Bachelor and Spinsters.
Oh, well, it was a bit more elegant, I think, than that, to be quite honest. But anyway, nowadays, they have the stalls and they do catering and have fashion shows. So, you know, you say these things are a dying art, but you know what? If we've lasted 56 years, I'm sure we can go and be a bit more innovative for the next 56 years.
Yeah, so Wagga Wagga $1 million or over $1 million. So, look, if someone wants to become involved in the local community, either where one's already established or they want to start one, should they go to the CMO?
Absolutely, just phone that 1-800 number.
Yeah, and you'll get someone
to talk to.
Speak to
Jennifer, and it'll all happen.
So you'll actually answer the phones as well, will you?
Aye, multitasking.
Aye. That's yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
1-800-436-437, or if you wanted to contact Jennifer via the website cmri.org.au. You keep up the wonderful work. We appreciate what you do, and I still can't believe you're as old as you make out. Teaching, yes. Got to 50, left teaching, and you told me how long you've been here.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be...
Don't ask. Don't ask.
Let's make a deal. Yeah. I'll keep going while you keep going.
Absolutely, and I think I'm going to outlast you, to be quite honest, Ree. Because I love my job. I've got the best job, remember?
Yeah, I'm subject to ratings. You might get there. So there are other things defining how I survive, I can tell you.
Well, you let me thank everybody who's made a wonderful donation today. I cannot thank you enough. You are our lifeblood, and we love everybody, and our research, its successes is all due to the public, the community.
Well done.
And people like you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer Phelps, ladies and gentlemen, the Community Relations Manager for our friends here at the Children's Medical Research Institute. It's 5 minutes to the hour.